Hello, everyone, and welcome to 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 Collective's Mentorship Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Stacey, and I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of bringing professionals of various roles who will share their wealth of experiences, their insights, and their recommendations from their own mentoring journeys. Now, if you know 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 Collective, you know our commitment to amplifying women in the capital markets space through education, elevation, and empowerment. In this series, we'll discuss the impact and importance of mentoring, no matter your role, educating you on what to do to elevate yourself and feel empowered to lean into mentoring. And today, our guest is the incomparable Melanie Power. Melanie Power is a proud mortgage industry lifer and a 2025 Housing Wire tech trendsetter. She brings over 20 years of successful industry experience with a strong focus on the secondary marketing and capital market functions. And after launching her career as AVP of secondary with Prime Lending, Melanie went on to architect and scale high-performance capital market divisions for multiple lenders before pivoting her focus to the technology that empowers mortgage operations. Today, she leverages her deep domain expertise and technical acumen to drive product strategy and innovation for Poly's enterprise-grade solutions. Melanie, welcome to our stage. We are so excited to have you here. How are you today?
Fabulous, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So I just want to get started with right away, just right away. I just gave your bio. People can check you out on LinkedIn. What's one thing about you, personally or professionally, that we won't find in one of those spots?
Oh, it's definitely, I am an auntie and I take this role very seriously. I mentor. I have, in my immediate family, I have four nieces and one nephew, and I definitely encourage them, and I'm part of their sports events and everything like that, cheering them on. I do not have kids of my own, so like I said, I take it very seriously, and I just absolutely love being a part of their lives. And my family is very, very important to me. So I also take it very seriously to take them to their first concert if I can, because I love
Oh,
live music.
so you're the cool auntie.
Oh, absolutely. The coolest. And I make them say that I'm their favorite aunt.
Of course. I mean, well, they just need to speak the truth at all times, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love that fact about you. And in the previous conversations that we've had, I could totally see you as that cool auntie that's helping them have some of those exciting firsts. And they probably readily say that you are the best auntie in the world, I am sure. Well, our audience finds such value in hearing the mentoring experiences of others. Is there a story you'd like to share with the audience about your own experience around mentoring?
Absolutely. Just one that really stands out to me was there was a a young lady that reported to someone that reported to me, and she was amazing, just so smart. I mean, by far was killing it over a lot of the other people, and she just seemed to kind of have a little bit of a negative outlook, and she didn't seem very approachable. And so I think she was a little intimidating, probably because she was super smart. But also she just kind of had that demeanor about her. And I just really liked her and really respected her. And so one day I just pulled her aside and I shut my door and I was like, you would just be like so the go-to person if you were seemed more approachable. And that's not just with your coworkers, but also with other leaders within the company. Her response wasn't great that day, but after that, it was amazing. She turned the beat around. I mean, it was like a totally different lady, and she was just positive and upbeat and really starting to speak up with her expertise. And She just really grew into just a wonderful leader and grew out of that role and eventually became vice president post closing and all these other, I mean, she just really went far. And I just think of how I just felt so happy and excited for her that, she, maybe sometimes we maybe need to get out of our own way.
What a fantastic story. I love that you courageously stepped forward. Oftentimes I've been guilty of this myself. I've seen someone who's maybe faltering and have been reticent about stepping in to give them that loving advice that is going to be a difference maker for them, just to call it to their attention that they have this opportunity and encourage them to step into where that opportunity can fill some gaps. I would love to know, how did she respond to that?
She was a little bit hesitant. Definitely, not like, woo, thanks for sharing. And I think, but I could tell the wheels started moving, and within a week, people were like, oh my gosh, she is just a totally different person. And, I mean, I saw it, we all saw it. And, just I wasn't with the company too much longer after that, but I watched and she grew into such a great leader. And I just know that she's killing it today. I just know it. She was just so very, very smart.
That's so fantastic. I mean, even if and I'll just say, I would imagine probably many of us would be like, oh, great, thanks for just jumping right in and, criticizing me like that. But then when you have a moment to reflect on it, you see that this person's coming from a place of care and they really want to see you succeed. And when you get real with yourself about what advice they're giving you, many times you can say, okay, yeah, I see where that's an opportunity, but good on her for taking the advice and stepping forward. And I can't say enough about how courageous it was for you to step up for this woman. I mean, so often people see things, they say nothing, and you stepped into the opportunity to help this person to recognize. I mean, you recognized that she had incredible talent and that you also recognized she had an opportunity for development. So was this modeled for you by a mentor that you had this mindset?
Yeah, and I think we talked about this, in previous conversations, but it definitely sometimes people see things you don't, and I was running post closing when I was approached by the EVP of capital markets, and he wanted me to come work in secondary and learn capital markets, and I was like, no. I was like, I don't think so, and he basically like said, I know you will be great at this role, and it's really important for women to be getting into this area, and you will be one of the back then there were less women. And he, mentored me. He helped me explain things 800 billion times to me over and over and over. And he just believed in me and he saw that thing in me that I didn't ever see and never would have even tried to go down that road. So yeah, he was just absolutely amazing, very supportive and very, very educational, like just loved to teach and I loved to learn. So it was a match made in heaven.
Perfect match. And he was quite right. You've done incredibly well in capital markets and modeled the way for what's possible for women in this niche of the industry. Now, you mentioned that you were with him for a long time, and I'm sure that he gave you loads and loads of advice over that time period. Are there any favorite nuggets that he shared with you?
Well, he had his name was Scott Egan, and he's known in the industry, and he was kind of a little bit grouchy sometimes, but we just had a lot of fun banter, and he did teach me about, the profit margin because I had, this huge heart where I was like, oh my gosh, the loan officer's kids need shoes and please can we give them an escrow waiver? And he just had the funniest way of saying things like, I don't have a pot and a bell and I'm standing out for, and he would say like, just hope the light at the end of the tunnel isn't a train. And all these just crazy, kooky things. But in the end, just had kindness and a really fun way of delivering information. His market updates were just very fun and really broke it down and made it easy for you to understand. The first market update I read, I was like, what? I don't know what you're saying. But he was just so patient, and I definitely value that so much because it just helped me learn so much, and I was never afraid to ask. And
Mhm.
that's another thing, you just cannot be afraid to ask. If you don't know, ask. And if you think you get it, and then you're like, maybe I don't, ask again. And so I'm very grateful to him for giving that to me.
That's an incredible relationship to have from a mentor to be so much a part of that and I think it's fantastic he brought levity. Oftentimes people think capital markets, they think it's all like buttoned up and super serious and these are like life or death situations, but he brought some levity to it to help you be able to feel like, you know what, I'm empowered to make decisions. And I'm empowered to have fun while I do it. So that's
For
pretty
sure.
fantastic. I love his nuggets about the light at the end of the tunnel not being a train, and I don't have a pot and a bell. Immediately in my head, I don't even know him, but I'm picturing a man ringing a bell out in front of Target, at the holiday time. So every once in a while, I would imagine it probably feels like that sometimes from the capital market side, when we're being asked to make exceptions or do things that are a little outside the structure, but uh, good on him to bring some levity to that. It's
Yeah, I
fantastic.
think he really humanized, I mean, I think that's really important in capital markets because it is the loan officer's livelihood. And so, you
Mhm.
just really want to make sure that you're approaching things that you do value them and you do appreciate their situation, giving them intel on how they could maybe not take the price exception and be able to explain that to their borrower, or given the price exception when it's just there, you should do
Mhm.
it. So it's real important to make sure that it's not like the ivory tower people.
Well, it sounds like you've always had this theme of mentoring, but not necessarily structured mentoring. Is that a pretty recurring theme where you are now in your
Yeah.
role today?
Yes, it is. And I just got off a call a little while ago where one of our QA is a little bit newer, and she just really wanted to understand LTVs, and I absolutely I have time to walk you through that. And it's important to make it like, hey, Stacy, you're buying a house. So in this instance, you have a purchase price. And just kind of like going through like why LTV matters, what it is all about, and what is into the calculation for a purchase versus a refinance. It was definitely challenging for me when I joined Poly because I just thought that it's natural that people understand that, like, on a refinance, you don't have a purchase price.
Mhm.
And I took for granted just, anything I knew. And so I just absolutely love helping people understand that and breaking it down and making it very simple and easy to understand. And I love people leaning on me. Everyone knows they can come to me and ask me anything, and I'll take time. I tell them just put time on my calendar, so we'll chat.
I love that. And you touched on something I think that's really poignant, and that is, you know, we often, once we've been in the industry for a while, we often make assumptions that people who are in the industry just know what we know. And as our industry continues to evolve and we're looking at what the future iteration will be, we're having to attract people from all different walks of life into the different facets of this industry. So if you were recommending some competencies that really align with someone wanting to come into capital market space? Let's say we're at a women's event and we're talking to a group of women, and you're saying, "Hey, here's a list of some competencies that really align well with capital markets, and the rest we can teach you." Who would you point out in that room? What competencies would you recommend look at capital markets?
I mean, math.
Of course.
I all day long, I tell engineers it has to math, like 1 + 1 = 2. There is no blurry line there. And so, I actually believe very much in hiring green. And when I was around the capital market side, I just found people that had good math skills. And good people skills, because you just have to have a kindness with your loan officers. But if they could math, I can teach you the rest.
Wow, you brought up two great ones. I mean, besides hey, the math's got to math, but just good people skills. That's good communication. You probably have an empathetic ear, but you're able to convey a message in a way that it's well received.
Yeah, I guess the other one, Stacey, is definitely ownership.
Mm.
That is one thing that I learned. And I think that here at Poly, sometimes my boss is weirded out by me, because as soon as I make a mistake, I'm like, Mayday, I made a mistake. It does not get cheaper if you're going into a secondary locked as capital market. It doesn't get cheaper. The market 99% of the time is not going to go in your favor if you make a mistake. I definitely made a mistake with a trade before, and it was one of my first trades. So, whatever. But because I brought it up to my boss immediately, we were able to pair out quickly and move on. Those are really important mistakes. You can make them, but you have to learn from them. But that ownership is so important. You absolutely need to own up and ask and raise the flag quickly.
Well, it's time for your Mentorship Matters nugget. So we love for our guests to share their or mentorship nugget. Maybe it's advice that you would have given your younger self, or an action that you recommend to a person about leaning into mentoring. So what would you like to share with our audience today?
Definitely do not be afraid. It's never too late. I made an entire career change over 40. So, and I'm just 40 right now. I'm just kidding. But definitely don't shy away from it. And I absolutely always try to support everyone. Social media is interesting. And I actually sometimes have feelings about it, but I mean, I try to go on there regularly and to make sure I'm celebrating the wins for my fellow people, and it doesn't matter if they're in the mortgage industry or not. My sister does cybersecurity. I try to definitely, get on the bandwagon. Happy anniversary, happy birthday, happy everything, sorry for your losses, anything that happens, just, it's never too late. Definitely try to celebrate and support people if you can. It really means a lot. I check to see who just thumbs up something that I do. Like it just really it floats us all up.
I love that. And you have such it takes a village perspective, it seems, around mentorship, that, mentorship isn't just a one-on-one relationship. Sometimes it's a one-on-many, or it's a casual relationship where you're offering advice to folks and celebration to them when they've achieved a goal that they've been working towards. So I love that you've got this very broad openness to you about mentorship and celebration. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Stacey.
Well, my friends, that wraps it up for us with this conversation around Mentorship Matters and the lovely Melanie Power. I just want to thank all of you for being here today. And Melanie, thank you for opening your heart and your experiences to all of us around mentorship to show that it matters. We can't thank Poly enough for their partnership in supporting Capital W Collective. Thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you at another Mentorship Matters conversation really soon. Take good care.